several sessions discussing with National Information Center how we have, for the Saudis, you have the national security number, and we have for the foreigner also they have the Iqama number. But what we will do? What is the scenario for the visitors, for those coming for Hajj, for those live here for a while and then they leave totally and they came back again with different Iqama number. For the Gulf countries who came, you don't need any Iqama or anything. So they have to build scenarios. We found that more than 8 different scenarios that we have to build. And we have to negotiate with them because they are the single source of truth for that information. And then we have to generate a solution. Is if these things are changing, what we will do with the links of all the data that we are aggregating in all these different areas. Because this is the repository in which we will aggregate data from everywhere, and whenever we receive a query, we will send this data about these different subjects based on the different domains. So, and as we go, if we discuss any part, for example, the provider, we discuss it with Saudi Council for Specialization, and also we involve our colleague from even different organizations to discuss these areas from different perspective. Usually in the committees, and this is one of the things that we get to, if we try to, because since we do not yet started by that time, the high umbrella, which they call it SGO everywhere, Standard Development Organization. So we started from down upward. We invite from all organizations, sent to universities, we sent for military hospitals, National Guard, King Faisal, and to try to get our colleagues from everywhere that are of special interest, for example, in the lab, in the pharmacy. And we discuss with them all the points or the steps of the interoperability. Maybe today you have that part of the session, but yes, I will go over it maybe in the coming few slides. So this is what we are expecting, that the exchanging will be through the Enterprise Health Bus. And we have, maybe I will go over one of the largest projects that just now we are almost maybe 45 days away from opening that bit. It's for the enterprise, for the Saudi e-health exchange, which is called Sahih, Saudi e-health exchange, which is the word S from Saudi, e-health, E-H, E also from exchange. That one of the largest, one of the mega projects that we have in the market to build these things. And as we go now in the standard development, we finish part of it among the targeted 15 use case. Just we'll come over it. We finish 6 of them, and then we are working now in the 9 of them simultaneously. And we also finalize the policy nowadays. It's for the public opinion and for the review of everybody. Okay, in the strategy we thought to build 3 data centers in the eastern and western and in Riyadh here. The largest will be in Riyadh, and each one of the other 2 data centers will cover 2 main zones. Like eastern will cover the north and the east, the western will cover the west and the south, and the one in Riyadh will be the largest, and it will be the main data center, and will serve the other 2 in case of any problems or any down. Okay, sorry. During the strategy also we built up what's called the change. We built that as the change management. Sorry, I missed that slide. We build up what's called the change management methodology. It's mainly on 6 main dimensions, in which in every project we have templates, we have processes that we have to build it for that particular project and follow it. And it's centralized by we need to have the value realization, and you will see it have 2 levels. It's a macro level and also at a micro level. So it focuses in the micro level on the people when you do the adoption, and in the micro level on the strategic how we are going at the high level across the kingdom, how we're going to implement, for example, these standards or this. Okay. Also, we have sort of principles in the change management. I'll try to go to some of the interesting part. Okay. And part of the development also, we work to have a sort of a guidelines to how we are going to operate this huge program. Some of it related to how we are going to operate these projects. So we concentrate on the business lead. You will see here the business lead. They are starting from the beginning, before even we start to develop even the RFP of that particular project, and they will continue starting from the collecting of the requirements, building, acquiring the solutions as well, until we started the adoption. So those guidelines was a great help to us of how we are going to adapt. Sorry, this is an overlap. We built the governance model. They said usually, if your capability is an elephant, the governance is the snake, and still the snake can kill the elephant. So whatever you build and you see it's excellent, if you couldn't really manage how this going to deal with each other, how the different level, for example, of committees going to work, whether at the level of strategic, functional, or operational level, and how we are going to start, for example, in a simple way, and then as we go, it become more and more complex. Initially, by the way, we found that we are going to have around 22 committees, which is something very difficult. But no member will be in the 22, all of them, but they will be taking care of different, areas. So the point here that also we try to analyze the situation in Ministry of Health of what's called the reference architecture. It's other than the conceptual architecture. This reference architecture is just we aggregate all the solutions that we have in the ministry, whether centralized or decentralized, and see how these things we're going to communicate with each other. And we initiate an office or for the architectural office that try to control each and every solution or project. And see how you can simplify it. Most of the countries, when you discuss with them, they start initially when they analyze how many, they found it by hundreds, and then by time they found it goes less and less. And in the last few years, it start to increase again. When the mobile apps started came into the market. So as much as you go with a lesser number of applications, as much as your life will be easy. And I don't know, it's maybe a bad thing that we notice that even some of the countries now, after the long history of learning, like in UK, and the standard and the interoperability, they start to reduce the number of solutions and have, for example, a full zone using one solution. This is to reduce the complexity of the integration. So in the interoperability, we are thinking of how we can, let this, as a definition of the interoperability, how we can let two or more of systems, components can exchange data and can use this information that they are exchanging. And it's one of the important points, as I mentioned, for us here in Saudi Arabia based on our situation. And part of the things that we would like to achieve is working in a shared exchanging information as well as improving the quality. This interoperability, it need to have what's called the semantic interoperability, in which whatever data you're exchanging, you can use it to have a sort of a semantic analysis, or, for example, decision support, clinical decision support for the physician. For example, if I am prescribing a medication for a patient in my HIS in a hospital, and then that medication have a contraindication or problem with if he have a renal impairment or so, and this patient he have done a renal test 1-2 days ago in somewhere else, and it shows, for example, high creatinine. Then in that case, I am expecting that as it's done, within my facility, that to discover that, okay, an alert that this one have a renal impairment, you need to adjust the dose or you need to change the medication. At the same time, I want this to happen when I am working across organizations. So doing that means I have to have this data in a way that I can, in a semantic way, do this sort of alerts or analysis. So the levels of the interoperability, initially we need to be able to standardize or unify the data that we're exchanging. The second level that we can reach is when we start to share the information between organizations. And some of the standards, are just concentrating of how we can share this information. So they said the physician on the other side, he want to see that this patient have done lab test and this is the lab test. Whether I see it in a PDF file, an image, or in a structured data. But the higher level is when we start to have sort of a collaboration or orchestration, in which we start to have a workflow across organization. So the patient in the primary health care, and then they would like to do a test. So this test will be published, so he can go to the hospital and do the test over there. And when he came back to the primary health care, he can see that results. So working in collaboration, or he can do sort of a referral, or for example in the teleradiology services, he can have a request to do a study. He can go to the nearest hospital to do that study, and that study might be reported in the MAM, for example, and it will be published again. Everybody can see. So these are the levels that we sometimes we need to reach. So we cannot, for example, improve the sharing to make it in a form of assignment of a smart sharing if we do not go to a structured level. Collaboration, we cannot do it if we do not build really a business model that have capability to do that. Okay, so I will not go to this. When we develop the standards, initially we work to adapt something that available international. So we will not build something from scratch. In 5%, we might do minimal adaptation. It's based on localization, Arabization, or adding Hijra calendar or so. And in rare cases, we develop something new. And of course, if we build something or we do changes, we have to deal with the trade-off afterward. So, and when develop the standards, maybe these things mentioned in the governance model, what things we are doing, what functional, non-functional, and the testing. These are the 15 use cases that we targeted. In choosing these 15 use cases for the interoperability, we choose it based on around 16 points in criteria. Most of it related to the readiness on the profile we are choosing. Just I will mention one point regarding the different standards available. Internationally we have so many schools in the development of the standards for the interoperability. We have in UK they have a school and they are doing some changes now, and the Canadian who are using purely HL7 with the data model within HL7. We have the European countries who are using the IHE, which is called the Integrating Health Enterprise, which is based on the profiles and exchanging CDAs or like XML like files. It varies, So we took the third approach. Each one of them have a pros and cons. So the method that we use, we took long time actually to discuss these points and to modify it. But some of these approaches are maybe easy to implement, but whenever you do changes, you're going to have a difficulty in the future. And it's easy for the vendors and easy for us, which is like what we are doing now currently is the IHE approach. But it has some limitation in which it doesn't support so much the semantic interoperability, except in some of the profiles that have a level 3 structured data that can be exchanged. So we can deal with it from the beginning. So that was part of the points that we considered in our criteria. Additionally, points that we add in that criteria is related to the readiness of our systems, the roadmap and the strategy. So what solutions we have going to be ready so that we start exchanging data. What modules within the facilities that we are going to have an accurate data and complete. So for example, we started, initially with the client, provider, and organization, and we started also with the lab. You see, it was number 3 and 4, because usually the lab results have the highest maybe accuracy and have high value in using and exchanging. Also the image, it have one of the successful areas, and also the lab data is usually structured, and they have in the IHE also level 3 structured format. Now we finished the first 6, it's almost ready, and in all the sessions we have invited our colleagues from different organizations to work with us. Now we are working in the following 9 use cases, and it include also the areas that we have a good mature profile. IHE, they have more than 120 profiles, but these are among that we choose, and we might have sort of changes in that. Okay, So the phases usually when we work in that process initially is when we build the business scenarios with the business owner. So we have the domain leaders like in the lab or in the pharmacy. We work with them to see the different scenarios that can be operated in the kingdom across organizations. And then, for example, if we go to the pharmacy, we have in the pharmacy, our stakeholders, we have the Saudi FDA. Same time, we have our partners from different organizations, Ministry of Health and other National Guard, military, and King Faisal and university hospitals. And we discuss with them these scenarios. When you discuss it with the physicians, they would like to do prescriptions based on the generic name. Or they would like to use a name that what they want to publish is, the name that help to identify the gradients within that medication. For example, if you say Bactrim or Ciptrim, it's contain, for example, sulfamethoxazone and trimethoprim, and with that certain concentration. They want to do that. But when you go to the dispensation, where the data is for the interest of Saudi FDA, they want to know the exact dispensed medication, which is from which even, lot of dispensation. So serving these two purposes, this is required in the business. And also one of the business scenarios that we have a patient, I prescribe a medication for him in my hospital. He went to my pharmacy, he didn't find it, or maybe he have a file in another hospital. Like if he's served here and he served, for example, in one of the MOH hospitals, and he didn't find it over there. So what he can do, the pharmacy can say, I want to dispense it from university hospital. Then what he can send it to be published, and then when he came to the university hospital, they just query what medication requested for this patient, which he didn't receive, and then he can view it, and then he can dispense it. And at the same time, you want the system, to cancel. For example, if you have 4 medications and he received 2, and 2 is remaining, it should appear only the remaining 2. So all these related to the semantic and the ability to do these things. I will try to finalize what I am doing. So these are the processes, and thank God we are ready also with almost 9 policies that are the most important to be able to implement what we are doing. The Canadian, they delay for a full year when they are ready with the standards, because they are not yet ready with the policy, so they have to go back and to do it, and it cause that delay. This is for the Sahih project. I don't think the time that we do it. This is the Sahih architecture and how the different solutions will speak with each other. These are big projects. I think it will need maybe some other time to speak about each of them alone. This Sahih project, as well as this is the teleradiology. This is one of the largest projects that also we are now in the awarding phase. It have more than 135 hospitals that are going to run the radiology centrally with a cash locally, and going to link 70 hospitals, and they are going to work together that they can read images different locations and they can view it from everywhere. And it will help us really to implement the coding that we already prepare. So when we finalize the lab, we are now preparing a centralized lab solution that help Ministry of Health, and then we will use the same standard that we finished for the lab. And now here, this one will help us to use the standard that we finalize now in the radiology section. This is regarding telemedicine roadmap. I think I have to stop here. Thank you very much. I hope it was informative.
For presentation, and it's the time for questions. Sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Doctor, for this detailed presentation. However, I'm really concerned as a Saudi citizen that, from my experience, Ministry of Health, they are actually in the top in our government of writing up strategies, but in papers. The question here, when is that going to be possible? The second, from my experience, the 2 slides back, please. Can you go back to the
reference or the enterprise architecture?
To the back system. Yeah.
This one, the reference. The enterprise, you mean the first one, okay?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, no, wait. Okay. So, from my experience, what are the proposal is, it's just like very basic. I mean, back system is very basic. I mean, back system is already existed. We don't need to invent a new back system. The use of medication process or management is already existed. HIS is already existed. We don't need to invent a new system as Saudi Arabia country or Ministry of Health. So my question is why we still negotiating and discussing these plans and putting up a strategy over a strategy, and the next day we will be having a new minister who's going to decline the previous strategies, and he will start up from the very, very beginning, and we will hire a new consultants, and we will be, going just in the circle.
Okay.
This is number one. Number two,
this is one? Cool.
This is number one. Yeah.
Okay.
So, number two, I'm really concerned about after you listen to me and you go next day and you will implement your strategy. My concern is about the competency. I mean, do you have a manpower to run your business? Do you have a qualified and certified people? Mm-hmm. I'm just concerned about that because, it's a worldwide issue and challenge. Although Ministry of Health or our universities, they did not provide us like a master's degree or bachelor's degree of informatics. By the way, we have a couple of students here. They just came from Hail, and they are the first graduate students in Saudi Arabia. They are the health informatics students. The third question is I'm just concerned about our databases. You said you will be establishing 3 databases in the country.
That's interesting. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so 3 databases going to be implemented soon, inshallah. However, in the past 20 or 25 years, do we have data? Do we know our baseline data? Do we have a status quo that can be defined, and we know where we start from and where we're going to reach? Okay. The last one, I think this is enough, and we can negotiate.
Enough for me?
We can discuss it later, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you very much. You make it so dark, So, but I will try to give some hopes, The idea of, building a strategy after the other, I don't think that previously we have an e-health strategy in the ministry. I didn't see something, before. There was, most of the countries, they have either 2 approaches. Either to think that I have certain problem, for example, on the costing of the medication. Then I will do one single solution across the whole country for the controlling the prescriptions and these things, just to improve, the reducing the cost. So usually the people thinking of just initiatives or one dimension, or just to think, okay, I will implement an HIS across the kingdom. So they just concentrate on one business. But this is the first time maybe we have a strategy that think of all the dimensions and at all the levels. And I don't, believe me, we need inshallah to invite you to visit us to work with in some of the committees. Maybe even Keith can give you some of these things. Across the world, to prepare the standard, for example, in like 16 or 15 use cases in 18 months, it doesn't happen anywhere. We are now we do not finish a year, and we finish 5, and we finish 6, we are starting with 9, we are halfway. I think within 6 months or 7 months we will be ready with them. So building that is like, the basics, the initial stone, so that you can achieve, exchanging the data across wires. If you speak about challenges, everywhere, either you fail, you said I failed, or you say I have difficulties and delay. And this is expected. Some of the programs we hear in the UK now for 15 years, and still they are, and we are learning from what they are doing actually, and just learning for the whole world. They are exposing even their failures, on their portals. But the problem here is that, if you are, an architectural engineer, and you are building your house for the first time, or building a house for the first time, although you are an engineer and understanding what you are doing, but you will learn things as you go. Because some of the things, for example, if you are going to implement Windows, And then you have two things. Either you enforce the one who align to make it exact same size, and then you can order the windows sometime in advance. Or you can wait until everything is finished, and then you call the one who assembled the windows to check each one how it's the size and do it. So he will delay you for several weeks. And this is what happens when you go to the real life implementation. You might have a delay based on your experience, based on other factors. The other thing that usually causes problems with all, the e-health programs in the world, okay? So, first of all, to give you the hope, that we are not thinking of one project. It's a whole e-health program. The other thing, it have enough complexity to have similar challenges that others have. One of them is, building the standard. Building the standards in every country, it took years. Why? Because, it's like a collaborative work. You need to politically, officially communicate with everybody. We cannot build the standards ourselves. It's standards, it will not be considered standards if not reach the level that everybody is implementing. Even if I have small standards, simple standard, but everybody is implementing, then I can achieve exchanging data. If I have that sophisticated paper of standard, but nobody is implementing it, I have nothing. So, reaching to that calibration, Canada, they call it as collaborative, pan-Canadian collaborative. So, because each state, they have their own thinking. They don't want to work together. But how to let them work together? In here, we have a lot of politics, that's what you said. We have different organizations. Each one of them, they feel that we are mature more than the other. Okay, so they don't want to work together. And if you'd like to communicate them, if you ask my colleague Tariq, he needs to initiate more than 20 letters to different areas for each workshop. So these all are challenges everybody facing and we are facing. But alhamdulillah, the achievement that we are doing, even the international, I was in the international board of the IHE, they said nobody have done this before with this period of time. Achieving the policy, we choose these 9 policies to finish it, and we finish it within 6 months. And it was just, we pick people, we try with communication to get those, and then now we face it for public opinion. And these challenges everywhere. And if you say, also speak about one of the challenges, which is the availability of skilled people. This is also everywhere. We are here, even if I got, the PhD health informatician in here, and they work with us in the standards, they will be learning. Because this is a new field. Except if his PhD or was in that field. So it's a learning location. So all the countries, they did the same. By the way, in the IHE, although it's the most famous known standard used, but with great heart we find people to work with us on that direction. So we are, I feel that since we have a real strategy that we are implementing with the governance model, I feel it not be that simple that next minister will change it, okay? And the other thing is that we have a good communication in multiple levels that help us to sustain. What we try politically is to let everybody feel happy, feel engaged as much as we can. Even before we have, we started that before we have the SDO committee, which is Standard Development Organizations across the kingdom between organizations. We start work from down upward, engage everybody to do it. And it's one of the difficult things to do. Actually, you do not believe the situation. I don't know, I mixed the questions together, but anyway, I hope it answers.
Sorry about that. I mixed you.
No, I like your question. I like your question.
About the standards, we have HEMS standards.
HEMS?
HEMS standards. I mean, HEMS, they provided us a very unified processes to reach level like from zero.
This is the business. Yeah, sometimes you speak about, for example, business standard. If you would like to qualify a solution, or evaluate, you can evaluate it on the business side. And you can go to the standard that this is using. This is something else. For example, in here, we are building now what's called testing environment. So we will give the interoperability specification in each of these use cases to the vendors. So they will build, the engine or the adapter that will link to the enterprise health bus, okay? And then after they build that, they have to test it. So we are now currently building the testing environment before the Sahih project. So they will do that testing. If they pass whatever use case,